The Beach Murder is a brilliant garage sale mystery film, but there is one thing in it that is a massive plot issue because something doesn't make any sense. And without that part of the film, the narrative couldn't have moved in the direction it did. And I will explain what I mean by that, but with a spoiler, so I'll leave that for the end. Because I did really thoroughly enjoy this, and I do recommend you check it out. This was released in 2017. It's directed by Neill Fearnley, written by Walter Klenhard and Suzi Weinert, and stars, of course, Loughlin as Jennifer Shannon. And I'll get in with the murder in a moment. First of all, very briefly, we have two subplots, one involving Connor trying out for Romeo and Juliet. It's nice. It's a very pleasant subplot. It's not that interesting, but Connor's a decent character, so I didn't mind following that part of his journey. The other narrative is maybe slightly more strange, and it's involving a husband and wife who are going through a separation, and they both take in things to the antique shop. And Jennifer and Dani both believe that their marriage is actually meant to last. They're not meant to get a divorce, so they hatch a plan to try and get the couple back together. It's a little strange, but it's also quite sweet, and it makes sense within the context of the narrative. So again, it's not the most interesting, but I didn't mind it as a little filler to the narrative. But the main narrative involves the death of the husband of one of Jennifer's friends. Now, he was a surfer. It doesn't really make a lot of sense that he would drown. He was a lifeguard. Just things aren't adding up. And his wife begins to suspect that it wasn't an accident. And then, of course, Jennifer jumps on that. And the more they dig into it, the more they realise that, yeah, this doesn't look like it was an accident. And at the moment, I won't say anything else about that. But what I will say is I most certainly did not work out what was happening. I started to suspect the right person maybe 5 minutes before it was revealed. Not right up until the reveal, but pretty close to it. And even then, when I had my suspicions, I didn't really know why I felt that. It was more just I felt like something wasn't quite right with that character, but I couldn't work out the why, what the motive was, or how the person would have had the chance to do that. And I also think they were very clever with suspects in this, because for a while it seemed like there were no suspects, and then all of a sudden there were several suspects, and the pacing is actually really effective, because for a long time I had no idea what was going on, and then all of a sudden we're given a lot of different ideas, and none of them were too obvious. At no point did I think that's it. Because with the last one that I watched, The Art of Murder, I think it was, I worked out who it was immediately. And that's the first and only time I've done that with Garage Sale Mystery. So I'm really glad that that trend finished as soon as it began. I had no idea who it was, just slightly started to work it out before the reveal. So I'm really pleased with the mystery element. I enjoyed the narrative. I thought it was very clever, very well done. Apart from one thing. And I will mention this one thing now. And I actually went back and watched it twice, this particular moment, because I'm slightly baffled by it. And the reason I'm a bit irritated by it is because the narrative wouldn't have moved in the direction it did without this. So I will explain what I mean by that now. So this is going to be a huge, huge spoiler. I'm going to tell you who it was and how they found out. So huge spoilers from now. I have nothing else to say about the film other than definitely watch it. It is brilliant. So huge, huge spoilers from now. And the bit I'm talking about is when Anne finds the letter that's in an envelope marked draft. And she realises it's a letter saying that Mitch is trying to sell out the company. And I thought, okay, fair enough. That's a pretty good way to reveal who the killer was, or who we still suspect it was at this point, I guess. And it seems a bit strange that the brother wouldn't have found that letter. It was in a fairly obvious place, but nevertheless, she finds the letter and she shouts through to Mitch that she's going upstairs and takes the letter with her, which is what I would have expected her to do. She leaves behind the envelope that just says draft on it. Mitch sees this and then goes upstairs and shows her the details that were inside the envelope. But she had those in her hand. There is no way Mitch could have known what was in that envelope just because it said draft on the front. I don't understand what happened. How on earth could he have figured that out? How did he get the document with the confession on it? It doesn't make any sense. And the reason it irritates me is because if what happened was true, she went upstairs with the papers and left just an envelope, the narrative couldn't have moved forward the way it did. There's no way Mitch could have known what was in that envelope. There's no reason for him to storm into the bathroom with a gun. So they kind of messed that up a bit, unless I'm missing something, which if I am, absolutely fine. What could have made sense is if she went upstairs with the papers but accidentally dropped one because she was running. She was going really quickly, and there were, I think, at least 2 sheets of paper. So if she dropped one, but we never see that, that's not ever suggested. So unless that is what happened, and they cut that bit out for whatever reason, and then he could have found the paper, picked it up, and then gone after her, that would have made sense. And in her haste to get up to the bathroom, yeah, she could have dropped a bit of paper, I can understand that. But what we see is her taking the papers and leaving the envelope, Mitch seeing the envelope, and then going into the room with a gun. Doesn't make any sense. How did he have any idea what was inside that envelope? He wouldn't have done. So that really bothered me because what happened doesn't make any sense. And that got us to a really pivotal point in the narrative. Kind of annoyed, but not annoyed enough that it affected my overall enjoyment. I'm just going to assume that she dropped a bit of paper and they accidentally cut that clip out, because that would have made a bit of sense. But again, if I am missing something, please feel free to tell me, but I can't see what I'm missing. Based purely on what I saw, it doesn't make sense. But I'll go on about it no longer, because I did. That aside, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. The Beach Murder is a great story, very cleverly written, and definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of the garage sale mysteries.